So the problem to be solved is I want my computer to copy a file to a folder in my Dropbox when it receives that file or sees that a file has been added to my downloads. So let me show you this in action by opening Launch Bar.
Application. System dialog. Action menu.
Typing in HAZ.
Hazel. Application.
And side note, if you type HA and hold Z, it will open up Hazel. And it puts you in a table. For me, it says
rendered.
And this is where you go to set up your folders. Now I'm going to go to the top of this table.
Folders. Row 1.
And it says folders row 1. We want to go down to my downloads.
Downloads.
So now let's VOJ.
In rules. Return labels.
To jump to my rules list. Now, you don't have to do that, but I wanted to show you that the jump command does work with VoiceOver. Command N opens a new rule.
New rule. Content selected.
And for this rule, I'm going to, since the contents is selected, start typing.
Selection
Unmute presents for ACB Media. Just give it a quick description of what you're doing with this rule so you don't have to go look at all the actions.
Scroll area.
I press VON to get to the scroll area, and in this we'll interact.
In scroll area. 8 items. If.
And this works on an if this, then that statement. So if
all of the following conditions are met.
All of the following conditions are met.
Table.
And the table is empty because there is none.
Do the following to the matched file or folder.
Do the following.
Table. Discard.
Then you have discard and save.
If.
So let's go to the table.
Table.
And we'll interact with it.
In table. Name is. Remove condition. Add condition. So
and we can interact with this row.
In. Name is.
If you use VO left arrow.
Name.
It'll say name, and then VO right arrow.
Is.
That's a pop-up where you have a lot of different choices.
Menu check mark. Is not. Contains.
And we'll put contains.
Contains.
Press VO right arrow.
Blank. Edit text.
And we'll type in unmute presents. Because in these files, I know that the file name it's not going to start with it, but it will contain the words unmute presents.
Remove condition. Add condition.
We'll press VO space on add condition.
Menu.
Press down arrow once, and then VO space.
Add condition.
This added a new condition, so I'll stop interacting with this row.
Out of. Unmute presents. Name.
And I'm going to go down.
Name is. Remove condition. Add condition.
And there's another one that says name is. But if you VO up arrow, you'll hear
unmute presents. Name. Contains. Remove condition. Add condition.
So it doesn't really read it in the best way, but that is a way to verify, okay, if unmute presents is in the name and it starts with, so I want the name starts with.
Name. In. Is. Menu check. Starts with. Starts with.
And we'll press VO right arrow.
Blank. Edit text.
I put a 20 there because the ACB Media naming structure is something like this. 2022, 12, 27, unmute presents. So we've set up the conditions that we want to watch for, and we'll stop interacting with this.
Out of. 20. Name. Starts with. Remove condition. Add condition.
And stop interacting one more time.
Out of table. Do the following to the matched file or folder.
It says do the following to the matched file or folder. Currently, there's nothing in that table.
Table. Move.
And for this, yeah, let's go ahead and move it. But you can also just make a copy. Or you can do other things like rename, sort, upload, sync. There's a lot of different options in there. But in this instance, I want to move the file to the shared media folder that I work with.
To folder.
So if I press right arrow.
No folder selected.
So I'm able to see that there's no folder selected. I will drop this down.
Menu check mark.
Locate the other ellipsis. And then this brings up a standard file picker. So I'll do Command-Shift-H.
List. One item selected.
Press right arrow. Type DR.
Dropbox.
Press right arrow. Find the folder that I want to move this file to.
New content.
And if I stop interacting with the folder.
Out of new content. Out of column view. Open.
And select open at the very bottom right.
Hazel. Window. New content.
It tells me that the file will be moved to new content. So now we'll stop interacting with the actions table, go to the end of the window,
save,
and we'll choose save.
Rules. Unmute presents for ACB Media. Selected.
Now that rule is automatically active, which means if there's, and I just realized it's probably gonna move some files, but that's okay. I'll fix it. But this rule is active, so we will go to Safari.
Safari. Done window. Table. 7 columns. 2 rows.
I will find the file I want to download.
Download. Link.
I'll press VO space.
Download has started. Hazel. File moved. 20,221,227 unmute presents. Education series pictures part 2 MP3 moved from folder downloads to folder new content.
And that's just a basic overview of how I'm having Hazel both keep my downloads folder updated and cleaned out and put my client files in the folders that they need to be in. Because let's be honest, Michael's going to get distracted and forget that I need to put the files where they need to be. Next step in this automation adventure on the Mac is to work on a Keyboard Maestro macro that will send an email to the client and say, hey, your file's in our folder where it needs to be. Don't see it. Here's a link. Let me know if you have any questions or need anything changed. Of course, it'll be a lot more nicer than that, but that is the general principle and a hopefully quick overview of how you can use Hazel or other third-party apps on the Mac to automate some of your tasks. Happy 2023. My downloads folder, or again, a Alphonic external folder, and put it in the proper folder related to the project that I'm working on. Saves me a lot of time and a lot of headache. And in the near future, one of my videos I'm going to create is how I can have my computer send an email to the client and say, hey, this folder's here. Here's a link. And say, hey, this file's here. Here's a link to that file. And here's also that says, hey, this file is in this folder. If you can't find it, here's a link to it. Let me know if you have any questions. Of course, it'll be a little nicer than that, but that's ultimately one of the goals that I have for taking my automation to the next step.